What is the worst thing that has ever happened in a bar? In 1814, London experienced what is now known as the strangest disaster in history, the London beer flood. So grab a pint and let me tell you all about it. It was the afternoon of October 17, 1814. The Horseshoe Brewery on Tottenham Court Road was filling up its massive wooden vats for the week ahead. In total, there were 18 vats on site, each capable of holding thousands of gallons of beer. One of these vats stood nearly 20 feet high and was currently being filled with porter, a dark beer that was popular at the time. As the vat filled, the pressure inside began to rise. Now, this is where things get a little bit weird. See, the inside of the vat was lined with iron hoops to keep the wooden barrel from bursting. But these iron hoops were not attached to the top of the vat, they only encircled the middle. This meant that as the pressure inside rose, it was only the top and bottom that could expand and contract, kind of like a balloon. However, the middle section was fixed, which would soon cause a big problem. As the porter continued to flow into the top of the vat, the pressure eventually became too great. With a deafening crack, the iron hoop snapped. The enormous barrel burst open, and over 3,500 barrels of beer shot out. Other vats inside the brewery were smashed by the sudden wave, which triggered a domino effect. Within seconds, over 1.4 million liters of beer, around 388,000 gallons, was gushing out of the brewery and into the streets. The wave of beer, up to 15 feet high in some places, roared through the nearby neighborhood, destroying garden walls, flooding basements, and sweeping away anything in its path. People were caught off guard. Most didn't even see it coming. When they heard the sound of the crashing barrels, it was already too late. Incredibly, several people drowned, not in the Thames, but in beer. Most victims were women and children who had been at home when the wave hit. Others were crushed by collapsing buildings. The flood weakened the foundations, which gave way under the weight of the people's homes. In the aftermath, people came out of their houses to find their entire street had been replaced with a massive sea of beer. It would take days for the flood to subside. During that time, people reportedly gathered in the streets with pots, pans, and even boots to scoop up the free-flowing beer. Some drank so much that doctors later treated them for alcohol poisoning. Eventually, the water receded and people began to assess the damage. A court later ruled that the flood was an act of God, meaning the brewery wasn't legally responsible for the deaths or damages. The Horseshoe Brewery then rebuilt and continued to operate until the early 20th century. To this day, the London beer flood remains one of the strangest and most tragic industrial accidents in history.